poor mother and a poor father who had so many children, they hadn't hardly enough food or clothing to give them. They were all beautiful children, but the most breathtaking was the youngest daughter. Rose was different from the rest of us. Her eyes were a striking pale blue.
Rose was noisier, more independent. Rose was 2 years old the first time we lost her.
One morning, while we thought she was taking a nap, Father went to check on her and discovered that Rose's bed was empty. He began searching for her, spreading out every direction. Rose! Rose!
We saw no sign of Rose in the meadow nor on the hill. I ran across the field and climbed a rocky cliff. When I got to the top, I looked down. There, standing next to a pool of water, was a large white bear. Rose dangled limp from its mouth, and they're both dripping wet with water.
The creature swung its head to face me, then began moving up the rocks toward me. I stood still, frozen by fear. The bear stopped just an arm's length away from me and gently laid Rose down. Just before the bear moved away, I caught a glimpse of its eyes. They were filled with a sadness I had never seen before. I never told Rose about the bear, but I knew he pulled her from the pool that day and that it had probably saved her life. Years passed and Rose grew up. One day, on a Thursday evening late at the fall of the year, the weather was so wild and rough, and it was so cruelly dark, and the rain fell and the wind howled until the little walls of the cottage shook. Well, there the family sat round the fire, busy with this thing and that. Just at once, something gave 3 taps on the windowsill. The sound came again, and after exchanging a look with Father, I went to the door and cautiously opened it a crack. All I saw was a white blur before the door was flung wide. I stepped back, something large and wet brushed by me. I turned to stare at an enormous white bear. The wind howled in spewing cold rain, but we were unaware of it.
Close the door.
It was a strange voice. It seemed impossible, but I knew at once it was coming from the white bear. It was like a dream gazing at the huge animal that had entered. Walking on all fours, he was as tall as me. Water dripped off him onto the wooden floor.
And I remember water dripping off white fur from long ago. I had guessed from the moment he had brushed past me that this was the same bear that saved Rose. If I had any doubts, they were dispelled when I looked into those black eyes. It was the same bear. And I was filled with a terrible sense of foreboding.
If you give me your youngest daughter, you will no longer be poor, but live in comfort and ease. If you give me your youngest daughter, you will no longer be poor, but live in comfort and ease.
Enough! You shall not have Rose or any one of us.
Do not decide now. I will return in 7 days. I will hear your answer then.
I will not let that wild bear take you, Rose. I will keep you safe always. Know that.
Why does the white bear want me? I knew about the white bear. They call him the Great Wanderer or Ghost Bear. The white bear is a solitary wanderer, never moving with a pack or even a mate. He walks on all fours, but when he stands, he is nearly 10 feet tall. His eyes are black. His nose is black. His paws are black, and the 5 claws on each of his paws are black. The rest of him is snow white. Why me?
I'll be your mirror, reflect what you are. In case you don't know, be the wind, the rain, the sunsets, the light on your door. Show that you're home. When you think the night has seen your mind, that inside you're twisted and unkind, we stand to show that you are blind. Please put down your hands, 'cause I see you. I find it hard to believe you don't know the beauty that you are. But if you don't, let me be your eyes, a hand to your darkness, so you won't be afraid. When you think the night has seen your mind, that inside you're twisted and unkind, we stand to show that you are blind. Please put down your hands, 'cause I see you. Again, do not decide now. I will return in 7 days. I will hear your answer then. I'll be your mirror. I'll be your mirror. I'll be your mirror.
Rose thought about the white bear's proposal. She thought about her mother and her father. In the end, she made her own decision. I'm not doing this to spite you or to hurt you.
I know.
I'm doing this for both of you. You heard him. Never pour another day in your life. I'll be safe. I'm not afraid of him. We believe you. We trust you. Be bold. Always follow the truth. In 7 days, the white bear returned, and Rose went with him.
As the evening wore on, she began to feel rather tired and thought it would be best that she went to bed. And so she found a chamber with a huge luxurious bed made up of white pillows and silken sheets. When she had gone to bed and turned the light out, a man came in and laid himself beside her. It was the white bear, for at night he shed his beastly shape, but she never saw him, for he only came after she turned the light off, and before the day dawned, he was up and off again. Things went on happily for a while, but soon she began to feel silent and sorrowful, for she went about the day all alone. Every evening was the same. She would go to bed, and a man would come in and lay himself beside her. Finally, curiosity got the best of her, for she wanted to know who the person was that was sleeping next to her every evening. So she scoured the castle in search for a light and hid it under her pillow. That night, when she had known he had finally gone to sleep, she got up and cast her light. The light shone on his face, and she saw that he was the most loveliest prince she had ever seen and fell deeply in love at first sight. However, the light shone so brightly in his eyes that he woke up.
What have you done now? If you would wait the space of just 1 year, I should have been free. For I have a stepmother who has bewitched me, so that I am a white bear by day and a man by night. Now, all is that an end between you and me. I must leave you and go to her. She lives in a castle which lies east of the sun and west of the moon.
I'm not afraid of her.
I be your mirror, reflect what you are, in case you don't know. I be the wind, the rain and the sunset, the light on your door, to show that you're home. When you think the night has in your mind, that inside you're twisted and unkind. Let me stand to show that you are blind. Please put down your head.
Reflect what you are. I'll be the wind,
the
the sunset,
Light on your door.
to show that you're home. I'll be your mirror.
Reflect what you are.
In case you don't know,
Be the wind.
the rain,
The
the
sunset.
sunset, the light on your door.
Show that you're home.
Let me stand to show that you're blind.
I find it hard.
How my sweet, for you I have a special
She then came across a lofty ridge, and under it sat an oracle. She inquired the oracle to where she could find the prince, who was taken by the troll queen, whose castle lay east of the sun and west of the moon.
How did you come to know about him? We came into each other's lives when I was young, and now our fates are intertwined, and I find myself seeking his freedom.
Well, all I know about him is that he lives in a castle that lies east of the sun and west of the moon. To free the prince, you must descend into the liminal space. You might arrive late or never at all. There, you will find 4 winds: east, west, north, and south. Their stories have been told time and time again. Change the ending, change your fate. Free the winds before it is too late.
What if I'm not enough?
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us most. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others.
Whether this is my end or new beginning, I have no way of knowing. I have given myself over into the hands of strangers because it cannot be helped. And so I step up into the darkness within, or else the light.
Whoa, hey! You step between the first trees and you are no longer in open air.
The wood swallows you up.
There is no way through the wood anymore. The wood has reverted to its original privacy. The wood swallows you up.
Once you are inside it, you must not leave until it lets you out, for there is no clue to guide you through in perfect safety.
The wood swallows you up.
Tumbling crows play tag in the branches of the elms. The silent, blackish water now turns to ice. All will fall still. All lapse.
The wood swallows you up. The woods enclose and enclose again. The imaginary distance traveler walking towards an invented distance that perpetually recedes before itself. It is easy to lose yourself in these woods.
The wood swallows you up.
And this light admits of no ambiguities. And here, she will be trapped in her own illusion because everything in the wood is exactly as it seems.
The wood swallows you up. Cassandra, daughter of King Priam and Queen Hecuba, lords of Troy. God Apollo gave her the gift of foretelling, of seeing the future, then tried to force her to sleep with him. She rejected him. To punish her, he let her keep the clairvoyance. But he cursed her so that no one would ever believe her prophecies. No one would ever believe the things she told. Being cursed, she was met with disbelief by her family and her people, the Trojans. She foretold of a war that would destroy their city. They did not believe her. She also foretold that Troy would fall by a clever machine, a Trojan horse, in which the Greeks would hide. Her citizens did not listen to her words.
the fire in the sky. I was ashamed to tell this once, but now, standing here with another who no one else would believe. Raped, abused, molested by their fathers and uncles and brothers, by dates and friends, by doctors and priests, by co-workers and bosses, by neighbors, by strangers. I lived within a life condemned. I spoke up when I could. It did nothing. The curse of disbelief is damning. Maybe we are designed to survive simple trauma, but abusive trauma is compounded through a culture of stigma and disbelief. We are made to watch the horrors that we could have stopped unfold. Ultimately, the curse of disbelief destroys us all.
Be their puppet. You're free.
I'm safe. I was bound for so long. No one believed me. I don't remember if everything was good or if I just thought it was. No matter. I have no fear anymore. My only hope now is to live a different myth entirely. A myth where women's voices are valued just as much as men's. A myth where children of all genders are cherished. A myth that transcends punishment and revenge. A myth that guides and keeps each other safe. Just how the white bear saved you, and now you are going to save him.
How did you know?
I only tell the truth.
Well, if it's true, then I believe you. Here, stand. Find your feet. One step at a time. 1 foot in front of the other. It's true. You are triumphant.
It's true. I am Cassandra, and I am triumphant.
none of them would have him. They couldn't bear the thought of being with a man who had a blue beard. In addition, he had already taken several wives, and no one ever knew what had become of them.
I am Willow.
I am Aurora.
I am Hazel.
This is our story.
To engage their affection, he took them to one of his country homes where they stayed a whole week. There was nothing to be seen but parties of pleasure. No one went to bed, but all stayed the night in partying and joking. In short, everything succeeded so well, the women began to think the man not to have a beard so very blue, and that he was indeed a very civil gentleman. At the end of the week, he presented them with a set of keys. Here, he said, are the keys to all the rooms in the castle. Open them all. Go through each and every one of them, except that little closet at the end of the great hall, which I forbid you to. And forbid it in such a manner that if you should disobey me, you should expect nothing but the greatest of my wrath and resentment. They promised to observe very exactly everything he had ordered, and he got into his coach and proceeded along his journey. The women ran through each of the halls, closets, and wardrobes. Each one so fine and rich they seemed to surpass one another.
He's real?
Yes.
Will he be back?
Why?
What were you thinking of? I know how it must have seemed to you.
And I'm awful sorry it had to happen.
But it wasn't anything as serious as you seem to take.
And that makes it all right?
I'm not
anything
I want to get out of.
Pull yourself together and face the facts.
I said it!
I'm not in anything I have a desire to get out of.
Look at the mess in this room.
Those empty bottles?
They went through 2 cases last night. He said this morning he was going to quit having poker parties,
But you know how long such a promise is going to keep.
Oh well, it's his pleasure.
like mine in movies.
And bridge. People have got to tolerate each other's habits. I guess.
I don't understand you. I don't understand your indifference. I have to plan for us all, to get us all out.
But there are things that happen.
That sort of make everything else seem unimportant.
I am not being or feeling superior. Believe me, I'm not. It's just this. This is how I look at it. There is something downright bestial about him. You're hating me saying this, aren't you?
Go on and say it.
There is something subhuman. Something not quite to the stage of humanity yet. Maybe he'll strike you. Or maybe grunt and kiss you. Night falls, and the moon shifts. There in the front of the cave, all grunting like him, and swilling, and gnawing, and hulking his poker night. You call it this party. Somebody growls, some creature snatches at something, and the fight is on. God! Maybe we are a long way from being made in God's image, but come on. We've had some little progress since then. Such things as art and poetry and music. Such kinds of new light have come into the world since then. In some kinds of people, some tenderer feelings have had some little beginning that we have to make grow and cling to and hold as our flag in this dark march toward whatever it is we're approaching. Don't hang back with the brutes. Aren't you the least bit curious as to what he's hiding from you?
We cannot be willful.
Open.
We trust him.
Love has made you blind. I'll open it. No! Look at the mess in this room. Look at all those empty bodies.
and they walked right through his shadow.
Tell me your story. I'd love to hear about you.
Once there was a little girl child with neither a mother nor a father, and she lived in the dark forest. There was a village at the edge of the forest, and she learned that she could buy matches for half a penny and sell them in the street for a full penny. If she sold enough matches, she could buy a crust of bread, return to her lean-to in the forest, and sleep dressed in all the clothes she owned.
When we were about an hour from the refugee camp, I was talking to one of the volunteers and I said, "When we get to the camp, will you be able to communicate for me that I'm a nurse?" And they said, "Oh no, the camp is only for medical providers." So I was like, "So when I drop you guys off, I'm on my own?" And they said, "Don't worry, just take a left here and take a right, and you'll see these huge white tents, you know, like you see on National Geographic, and you'll see the guards, with the big gear and the guns, but don't be afraid, just tell them you're American and that you're a nurse and you're here to work, and they'll let you in." So now I'm terrified. I don't speak one word of Hungarian or Slovenian, and I have never been around guns. It was so surreal, you know, you see these tents on TV, but to see them in real life and to think that this is a real refugee camp. A true camp where it was like I was back in World War II. It was like the Holocaust. I mean, these people had taken boats over from Greece, then trains, then buses, until they finally got to Slovenia, where they were put into lines, where they would get registered and get a bag. And in that bag was a piece of bread, a small carton of milk, and an orange. That was it. That was all they got. Some of them hadn't eaten in days.
The winter came and it was very cold. She had no shoes and her coat was so thin she could see through it. Her feet were past the point of being blue. Her toes were white, as were her fingertips and nose. She passed strangers on the street, begging them to please buy her matches. But no one listened, and no one paid any attention.
So I just walked right up to the guards, and they said, "Who are you?" And it was very intimidating because I have dark hair and dark eyes, and to them I looked just like one of the refugees on the buses. So they were very accusatory at first. But as soon as they heard my voice, as soon as I said, "I'm American, I'm a nurse, I'm here to work," whew, they were expecting me. They almost started cheering. "American, American!" They said, "Go park your car." I said, "I have boxes." They said, "Don't worry, we'll help you." So they brought me to the tent, and immediately everyone was so great. And then they gave me this vest, and they said, "Don't ever take this vest off. Don't ever take this vest off because you look like a refugee, and you want to make sure that they know that you are a volunteer, that you work here." And that was just so crazy to me to think that I could look exactly like someone else out there. But because of one little passport I had, because of one little piece of paper, I was treated so differently. And that was really disturbing to me.
So she sat down one evening saying, "I have matches. I can light myself a fire and warm myself." So she struck the first match. The cold and snow disappeared altogether. Instead of swirling snow, she saw a beautiful room with a dark green stove. She huddled up close to it, and it felt heavenly. But the light went out, and she was again sitting in the cold, shivering so bitterly the bones in her face chimed.
So they took us to the medical tent, and they gave us about a 10-minute orientation, and they put us to work. We worked all night.
For the most part, the biggest things we saw were horrible colds that people had. A lot of them didn't have blankets, and their shoes had completely worn through. One of the kids that stuck out to me, one of them was a diabetic, and we could not get the father to say exactly what his son needed. Finally figured out that he had run out of insulin. He needed an auto insulin injector that you can get for kids. We were able to give him just enough so that he could get to the next refugee camp and try to get back on the train. This father was just desperately trying to communicate what his son needed. He was just a little boy holding a soccer ball. And it was just awful feeling helpless as a medical provider.
And so she struck the second match, and the light fell upon the wall of the building next to where she sat. And behind the wall in a room, she could see a snowy tablecloth covering a table, and china plates of the purest white. And on a platter was a goose that had just been cooked. And just as she was about to reach for this repast, the vision disappeared. She was once again in the cold, but this time her legs and her hips no longer hurt. This time the cold was stinging and burning its way up her arms and her torso. And so she lit the third match.
And then this one woman came in. And for a while, I'm just trying to figure out what's wrong with her medically. She spoke English. She said, my back hurts, my neck hurts, little ailments. So I would say, well, do you want Tylenol? I can give you medication. And she would say, no, I don't need that.
And in the light of the third match was a beautiful Christmas tree, beautifully decorated with white candles with lacy ruffs and glass ornaments, and thousands of tiny lights that she couldn't quite make out. And she looked up the trunk of this tree, higher and higher and taller until it became the stars in the heavens over her head. And all of a sudden a star blazed across the sky. And she remembered that when her mother told her that when a soul dies, the star falls.
And the doctor said, it's very, very different here. These people that are coming to you right now have suffered a huge loss. Not only have they suffered from the bombings and the killings, but they have also lost their homes, lost their jobs, and lost their family members. Our goal is not to teach them how to deal with that. Our goal is to get them through these next 12 hours so that they can get back on the train. And that was just such a huge culture change to me because as a provider, it is my job to take care of you and to tell you that I care about you. And I'm going to give you this cup of tea that you probably haven't had in weeks, and I'm going to give you this orange that means so much more to you than it means to a lot of people.
And out of nowhere, her grandmother appeared, so warm and so kind, and the child was so happy to see her. The grandmother picked up her apron and wrapped it around the child, held her tightly with both arms, and the child was content.
So this woman comes in and she's saying, my back hurts, my neck hurts, but I don't want anything. And I'm like, okay, well, why don't you tell me where you came from? And immediately she just starts sobbing. She's saying, everyone, you all think that we want to come to your country, but we don't. I had a job. My husband had a job, and they are killing us. And she's just sitting here sobbing, tears streaming down her face. They are killing us. They are hurting our families. They are hurting our children. There was nothing else we could do. We had to leave if we wanted to survive. And that was the first time that I really understood.
But then the grandmother began to disappear, and the little girl struck more and more matches to keep the grandmother with her, and more matches to keep the grandmother with her, and more and more. And soon the little girl and the grandmother began to rise up into the sky, where there was no more cold, and no more hunger, and no more pain. And the next morning, between the two houses, sat that little girl, with her rosy cheeks and her smiling mouth, leaning against the wall, frozen to death. Stiff and stark sat that little child, holding her matches. She just wanted to warm herself, people said.
I mean, I know what suffering is. I've suffered. People have suffered in very different ways, but to the point where you have to leave the things you love most. And she pointed to a man and she said, that man over there, he was a doctor. He was a doctor in his own country. Do you think that he wanted to walk here without shoes? And to me, that was probably the most life-changing moment I have ever had, because it really humanized these people that we see on TV and on the news and that we read about in newspapers and online, and we wonder, why? It's not that great here. But it is their only option. It is their only option to survive.
No one had the slightest suspicion of what beautiful thing she had seen.
The cold began to set in, and she sat down. She was so tired and so cold. And then she saw Rose, and Rose said,
Come here.
The little match girl had not been hugged like that in so long. She couldn't hold on any longer and crumpled to the ground, her face strained of all color. Rose hugged her body. Rose held her close.
It's not fair. It's not fair that you were dealing with the cold that you did not bring upon yourself. It is not fair that you must have matches while others have fires. Blankets. We need blankets and soup if you've got it. Please help. She's dying.
Rose knew there was nothing she could do. So she held the girl a little closer and whispered,
Sleep. Sleep in my warmth.
she pulled her in.
Dream. Dream of worlds before pain.
a small light goes out in the cold, dark alley of a big city.
It's all right.
The little girl's final match, her soul, blows out.
In a time that once was, is gone forever and will come back again soon. There's day after day of white sky and white snow. Here, nothing thrives for the asking. It was in this land that there lived a man so lonely that after years, tears had carved great chasms into his cheeks. He tried to smile and be happy. All he longed for was human company. Sometimes, out in the shallows in his kayaks, he'd come past a seal and remember stories of how seals were once human, and the only reminder of that time was their eyes, which were capable of portraying wise, wild, and loving looks. He felt such a pang of loneliness that tears coursed down the well-used cracks in his face. One night, as the moon rose and the ice floes glistened, he paddled out on the ocean and came across a great spotted rock and saw a movement of the most graceful kind. He paddled closer and saw a group of women dancing on top of the rock. Having no human friends but in memory, he stayed and watched. The women were like beings made of moon milk. Their skin shimmered with little silver dots, and their limbs were long and graceful.
An old man rode on the ocean with his boat of fish and a roll. He heard a young girl singing and swam to the sound below. There he found the maiden
between the north and south, between east and west, between time and place. Song of the sea, searching peaceful or quiet for my love.
Beautiful. Who would call me beautiful like this?
Me? But you don't seem content.
I'm not. I can't do this. I'm stuck.
Stuck. In a tub? Here, let me make a splash for you.
I appreciate it, but I'm afraid this tub is barely a substitute for the ocean.
Well, then let's go. Come on. What's wrong?
I want to go. I really do, but something of mine has been taken. Something I need very much to be whole. He took it and hid it somewhere. If I can get it back, I'll be whole again. I want to return to the ocean, but I can't without my sealskin.
We can search for it.
I've searched everywhere I can. I don't think I have the strength to try again.
Well, now you have me. Let me help you.
how she survived so long without her soul skin.
She wonders.
She never wanted to leave.
It felt so right.
To be completely and unapologetically herself. She swam
And swam.
and swam.
She sunk to the bottom of the ocean where nothing could harm her.
Out of reach of those who would attempt to control her.
She swam to the east,
Swam to the west.
Swam to the south.
Swam to the north.
Her soul skin.
As soon as she and the Selkie parted ways, Rose felt a strong breeze sweep her up in an embrace. A thank you for all the women's lives she had touched. The four winds had been set right.
I will keep your stories in my heart.
And then she saw a sliver of light materialize out of nothing. A vision came to her and she knew. The winds whispered his call and guided her forward, and she saw his reflection in the icy walls.
Linger on, your pale blue eyes. Linger on, your pale blue eyes.
She was his mirror.
She saw through his eyes, felt his pain. She knew she had to keep going.
The winds encircled her. Her senses began to reel. The world around her began to twist and warp. The trees began to uncurl, and time itself seemed to reverse as she ascended out of the liminal space.
Her feet hit the fresh green grass, and Rose was back on the universal plane. In front of her loomed a giant castle, twinkling in both sunlight and moonlight. She doesn't know how she left the liminal space, but Rose knew she was finally east of the sun and west of the moon. Rose had spent so long preparing for this moment. She felt no fear as she approached the door. She knew what she had to do. There was no response. Still, nothing. She decided to knock a third time.
I know you're in there. Show yourself. Password?
What?
Password. You honestly thought you were going to get in here without a password? That is the oldest trick in the book. Whew, and to think that your lovely prince said that you were smart enough to get to him. Well, you heard me, Rose. I need a password. You have one attempt.
Rose searched her mind for an answer, but try as she might, she could not think of anything that would make sense. I'm so close. Please, help me save you.
As she shouted into the space, a chilling wind pierced through her cloak. She heard a faint voice from afar.
I'll be your mirror. I'll be your mirror.
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 Oh, very well. Here we are.
Now let me see him.
Oh, you'll see him, but it won't really do you any good. He's kind of in an extended sleep at the moment.
What do you mean?
See for yourself.
And just like that, the door swung open.
Rose searched the castle. All she could think about was finding the white bear. She turned down one hallway.
Then another.
Then another.
Then she saw it. One door. It was the purest of white, and it sparkled with curiosity. She knocked once, but no one answered. She tried a second time, but still nothing. The third time she pushed on the door and it was unlocked and swung open.
Behind the door was her prince, sleeping soundly, undisturbed.
Hey. Hey. Wake up. Come on, wake up. Hey. Come on. Wake up. Come on. Please. I'll be your mirror, reflect what you are, in case you don't. I'll be the wind, the rain and the sunset, the light on your door, to show that you're home. When you think the night has no mind, that inside you're twisted and unkind. Let me stand to show that you are blind. Please put down your hands, 'cause I see you.
I'll be your mirror, reflect what you are, in case you don't know. I'll be the wind, the rain and the sunset, the light on your door, to show that you're home. When you think the light has in your heart.
Our deepest fear is not that we are happy. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. There is nothing in life about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. And as we are liberated by our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Now, it is your turn to descend into the liminal space. Change your ending. Be free. The winds are waiting for you. And with that, we bring our fairy tale journey to an end. The winds have been set free, the prince and Rose reunited, and the troll queen set on a new adventure entirely. As we travel on, we leave you with a song.
I'll be your mirror, reflect what you are, in case you don't know. I'll be the wind, the rain and the sunset, the light on your door, to show that you're home. When you think the night has seen your mind, that inside you're twisted and unkind. Let me stand to show that you are blind. Please put down your hands, 'cause I see you. I find it hard to believe you don't know the beauty you are. But if you don't, let me be your eyes, a hand to your darkness, so you won't be afraid. When you
and unkind. Let me stand to show that